Hey everybody, Cody from SITECH Oregon here. Today we're in the SITECH service department. We want to talk about the True Plumb. It's a calibration jig for prism poles and GPS poles. This is something that you should be checking 1 to 2 weeks periodically. We're only as good as the rod we use when we're using a total station or some type of equipment like that. So with the True Plumb, it is, we use a plumb bob that pulls gravity down to the plate that we have here, and it's adjusted perfectly true. We take our prism pole and we will insert it in here and screw it on, as well as put it in the hole of the plate down here. And once we get it all tightened up and in there, which I'll do now, make sure it's tight, get to a starting point, come see the bubble here. We also want to show the plate where this thing is a calibrated plate with gravity fed plumb bob down to it for a calibrated jig. And now what we have is a bubble and a jig that we can adjust moving 360. So we'll set in one point, we'll look at the bubble, and we'll rotate it until we get 180 on the other side and see what the difference is, and then we will work out that air by taking half of the air. The bubble itself is working on a 3-axis system, so there's 3 screws and a dimple that the bubble sits on. So it's a give some, take some system. If you continue to tighten on one side of this bubble, you'll end up breaking the threads and replacing the bubble altogether. So the thing I want to stress, it's a give some, take some system. All right, so what we've got here is a bubble that is uncalibrated, and we are set up on the jig here. What I want to do now is take this rod and rotate it 180 degrees, and I'm going to work out half the air in the direction of the screw that it needs to go, if that makes sense. So I'll rotate it here. I can see my air. I'm going to take half of it out of the leveling screw. I don't want to go the full distance. That will just push the air to the other side. So then we'll just start the process back over. Bring it back in, rotate it again, and we continue this process until we have a bubble that is within the center of the other bubble. Now, from my experience, it's never going to be completely perfect. It's going to be very close. The main thing we want to look for is spinning this rod all the way around and making sure that our bubble does stay within the limits of the other bubble. I want to show after this the actual bubble and the screws and kind of how it works. Like I said before, if you were to wrench down on one side of one screw, you will end up stripping and threading, breaking the threads. You have to release some of the tension from the other back 2 screws in order for the bubble to pitch. If you don't do that, eventually you're going to break something, and then we'll have to replace the whole bubble. We don't want to do that. So at any rate, give some, take some, and move in the direction of the air halfway, rotate it back, and continue to check. That's what we do. So I wanted to talk about this replacement bubble and the way it actually works. This is the part number here, my fat finger off there. And basically what I want to show on this, this bubble is this dimple here. There's a little dimple there and 3 screws, and that works on a 3-axis system. So this is what I'm talking about when you go wrenching down on one of these screws and you don't give some from another screw. When it goes to pivot on this little bearing here, it can strip out the screws, and we don't want to do that. So at any rate, it's very easy to do. Take a 2.5 millimeter Allen head, and we'll be able to get in there and adjust it on that True Plumb very easily. So Cody from SITECH Oregon. We just wanted to do that short video on the importance of rod calibration and the True Plumb jig, calibration jig. If you're interested in any other videos or want us to do a video on a different product or something, reach out, 503-351-9811. Thank you.